Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Gaming with me, Tony Mo, and we're here today to talk a little bit more about Warframe. I've been thinking really hard over the last week about how I would like to do Warframe content here on the channel, like more consistently, maybe, 1 to 2 videos a week even. But how do I do that? I kept asking myself that question. I'm by no means in a place to give people actual guides or tutorials. That's probably some of the most popular stuff you see for Warframe, or for any game for that matter, right? You're always like, oh, how do I help people get this or get that? I'm still very much learning and figuring out the game myself, and I'm happy with the pace that I'm doing that at. I'm happy to take things really slow and to just learn things as I go. It's exactly what I talked about in my discovery video. It is something that I encourage people to do. It's something that I see very few people seemingly doing, unfortunately, with Destiny 2. I played a lot of that this week, and just the number of guides and tutorials that get put out for that game, like the day it launches, about like, get max level fast, get all the guns in the game right now. Man, it just made me want to vomit. I was like, oh. It was that aspect of it that made me wish Warframe. Not that I love Destiny 2 to death. I've had some great moments with my brother, and now that I think about it, when him and I are done with that, I'd love to get him into Warframe on Xbox so we could play that together, because I think he'd really enjoy it. But it's just the fact that I can play Warframe, and there is no like clear and present just obsession with like getting to the end. At least it's not something that's portrayed by the community en masse. Most of the people making Warframe content that I've seen are like just doing, fun guides or breaking down like the different frames for people, or making even more interesting content than that. And I always thought that was really impressive and a lot of fun. So I was like, how can I add content to the Warframe community that has value? And the best way I figured I can do that is by looking at my current position and really just recognizing and acknowledging where I am as an individual. Someone who's very much learning the game. Someone who has some things of value to share, though, for new players who might be making their way to the game for the very first time. Now, I'm not here to tell people exactly what they should do or where they should go, but just to talk about the mindset and, of course, share my experience along the way. I think it's also cool to be able to showcase in video form my perspective as a new player, something that maybe so many of you don't really remember or haven't gotten to experience firsthand in a while, because you're veteran players and maybe you haven't taken someone new through the game in a while. It's just cool to see that third-person perspective of like, oh, wow, that's funny because I remember doing that, or I don't remember doing that, so on and so forth. So there was one thing I did want to talk about today in regards to new player mindset, and that is the idea of setting personal goals for yourself. We talk about discovery, we talk about, freedom, of exploration, of like failure and player choice in Warframe, and that's all fantastic, but you can definitely reach a point as a new player where you go back to your ship after completing a mission, you have nothing in the foundry, you have nothing in mind for what you want to do next other than the story missions or what's in your, available planets for missions, and you just kind of sit there and you ask yourself, okay, why am I really playing this game? And that's a point that I reached several times in the past when trying to get into Warframe, was just being in a position where I was like, and I would log off. I'm just like, what do I want to do? I would just log off. So it's obviously important that you understand the things you can do, and once you reach that point and like how to get your hands on blueprints and the blueprints you can get your hands on, and the best ways to increase your mastery rank so you can unlock more potential blueprints, you can then set those goals for yourself and say, okay, here's my plan for this weekend. I want to build the Hek shotgun. I want to try and get my hands on a glaive for my Tenno Warframe build over here that I got going on, It's those goals that can help, give you the traction to move forward, especially if you're in between story missions, which is a point that I'm currently in now. I need to finish up some prerequisites so I can actually start some of the story missions and finally make my way to things like the War Within and the Second Dream. I'm a bit away from that, though, so at the moment, for me, it's like, okay, well, while I'm doing that, I might as well, mess around with another Warframe and start to experiment with more weapons. And what I ended up doing, actually, just this weekend, was selling some of my CSGO skins that I was just holding on to. I don't even play CSGO that frequently anymore. I had a few skins that were worth a decent buck, so I got rid of them and I bought some Platinum, and I just picked up Excalibur, said, screw it, I'll just buy him straight out. And I also went ahead and bought his Tenno skin from the market. So now I've got my Tenno Excalibur, and my goal, while I'm making through those prerequisites to get some of the more of the story missions open, was not just to level him, but also to go ahead and see if I can get my hands on a glaive. Now, the thing I noticed about the glaive is that you either have to get the blueprint to drop, because you can't buy a blueprint in the store, at least as far as I could tell, and then the other glaive, which I don't think you can throw like the more traditional Tenno, Dark Sector style one, has to be built through the clan, I believe. So yeah, it was like, okay, well, that's cool. That's something that'll have to work towards then. I'll have to see if I can stumble upon that blueprint during some of the daily alerts. If it shows up for the glaive, I'd love to grab it and make sort of a build there. And again, alongside of that, I'm also working towards finishing up the blueprint for the Hek shotgun. Not only have people actually recommended the Hek to me like over 2 years ago, like way back when, it probably wasn't that long, but a long time ago, it's a shotgun that's always appealed to me. I mean, just the visual styling of the Hek is kind of hard to pass up. I mean, you got like a foregrip on it. It's slanted. It's got crazy 4 barrels. It just looks badass. Like, if you want a shotgun and someone puts the Hek in front of you, you're probably just going to be like, yeah, I'm going to take the Hek. I mean, you could show me a shotgun that's the size of the house, and I'm still going to pick the Hek because it just looks badass. So that's kind of my current progress, my current goals. On top of that, though, I have been making my way through the story, and I also hit Mastery Rank 5, which meant that I could finally go and try and take on Counselor Vay Hek. Now, this was a funny story that I definitely want to share with you guys, especially you vets who know all about Counselor Vay Hek, because I had no idea, and I just figured, okay, I'll just go solo him. He's like level 22, level 25 or whatever. You know, my weapons and gear are there. I'll even bring Excalibur with just to see how things go. Pretty cool mission as a whole. Like, making your way through that mission I thought was pretty neat. There's some interesting traversal points, like making your way through water pipes. But eventually you meet this ugly SOB, and as it turns out, he's the ultimate bullet sponge. And you gotta land crit shots, and he just won't die. And I admittedly was not well kitted out. I was running a shotgun, and I think I had my Vandal with me just because I knew I didn't have anything that was going to hit as hard currently. I also have some decent mods in that thing, so I figured, you know, that'll probably be pretty good for DPS. And I just went in and I just gave it a go. Not completely blind, not knowing anything about this guy, just figuring he's got a face. I probably have to shoot him in the face. Let's see where the crit spots land. I was able to figure that much out, but 30 minutes later of just pouring all of my ammunition into his face and, you know, dying 3 or 4 times and then eventually wiping twice, I realized that I wasn't going to be able to take him down. So I started to head on out and do a little bit of research finally to figure out just what Counselor Vay Hek was all about. And I did find that there are some certain mods you want to be running if you really want to do maximum damage to him. There's also some weapon types to consider. Obviously, anything that's going to be able to land a crit makes a lot of sense. So sniper rifles or even powerful bows to go for if you can land them consistently anyways, to be able to put out that damage. But more importantly, having things, I think he's looking for, we're going to need like Slash and Corruption, like to be able to take him down. So yeah, I got a long way to go. Let's put it that way. And after the fight, after 3 attempts and a bit of experimentation just to see like the damage numbers I could get on him, I also realized like all of the fun little interactable, is that even a word? Interactable, that's the word I'm looking for. Objects in the environment, like being able to blow open the little dam and open one of the hidden doors and lower the bridge. So that was cool. It was a fun experience. It was the first time that I actually faced a boss in Warframe that genuinely just kicked my ass. And everything I've read up until this point pretty much says grab a fire team. So I might end up getting some other Tenno together to take him down. There's talk of like, obviously you can solo him. I'm sure people have. Again, a lot of the recommendations I saw for soloing him required like precision weapons, big high crit stuff that's going to be able to tear through his armor and really do a lot of damage. So I might make that a personal fun little goal, like to try and build a loadout to get some weapons that could potentially take down Mr. Vay Hek there. It brings into light one of the other things that I did want to work towards was actually trying a sniper rifle for the very first time. So I haven't been able to give any of the sniper rifles a go. So I think I might craft one of them, make that a personal goal of mine, and then see where I can go from there. Yeah, it's a fun journey. I'm having a lot of fun with Warframe. And interesting thing, right? I spent a lot of time with Destiny 2 playing with my brother this week, and I knew that was going to be a really big testament to whether or not I really enjoy Warframe. Like, I'm loving the game to death, but to be pulled away by another experience and to fall in love with that experience so much, that really does test your commitment to other games. It really says, do you really want to finish Mass Effect Andromeda, or do you really not care anymore because Destiny 2 is here? And it was the same thing with Warframe. Fortunately, I really was happy to get back to Warframe this weekend and sit down and actually have the chance to play it a little bit more. It is one of those games that I can just pick up and play for like an hour each day. It's a great session game where I just pick it up, I play it a little bit, I run a few missions, I make it to the next goal, and there's like no rush. Like, knowing that everybody else is like well and past the game's like end game, quote unquote, and has capped out all the story missions, and the fact that people are still playing it, you know, there's no like immediacy for me to get to the end. I'm just over here like enjoying my experience, and that is that is really satisfying in itself. Like, just taking my good old time, figuring things out, learning things about the different frames and the abilities and the classes, you know, building frames and experimenting with them, experimenting with all the different weapons I can get my hands on, not ever really worrying about maxing any one thing out just yet until I run into someone like Vay Hek, and then I say, okay, let's actually try and make a really good build. Let's try and do this. Let's finally start improving our mods with our endo and just learning more about the game. It's been a really fun ride so far, and I imagine it's only going to be more enjoyable. I have reached the point with some of the stories where you can start to see, you know, like lore shining through. So this Hawk of the Second Dream definitely has me really excited to get there. I am a huge story buff for games. When we talk about sci-fi, yeah, I can't wait, guys. I know you guys are excited. I'm definitely going to do like a live play-through of it, record my reactions to it, and actually share that with you guys, and then talk about it after the fact. I think that's probably going to be like a month from now, to be honest. We'll see how things go. I'm really excited to, of course, have everything with the move going on this week for the house. And I really did want to get this Warframe video out before I went dark for a little bit while I set up my office and my desk. And then we can get back to streaming, Warframe, and all that other goodness. So there you have it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Also, a huge thank you to everyone who's come here and started watching the Warframe content. I never really expected any of my Warframe videos to do as well as they did. It was just something that I was putting off for such a long time, like revisiting the game and giving it a go. I mean, it's been talked about on my Discord for like 7 or 8 months. You know, we all tried playing Warframe a little bit like 4 or 5 months ago, and I just didn't really get into it, and I walked away from it. Now I'm back into it, and everybody's super happy, and the Discord's loaded with Warframe people, so really cool. You know, just thank you, everybody, for welcoming my content into the community. It's just been cool to see the positive feedback and the positive reaction to the stuff that I've been making, and people really excited to see the perspective that I have on the game. And also, a lot of people in the community just really excited to see the game growing. There's no doubt that at the end of this year, with Plains of Eidolon, is going to be one badass time to be a Warframe fan, to be a Tenno, if you will. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have yourselves a good one. And as always, remember to play smart, remember to play to challenge yourself, but most importantly, remember to play for fun.